playoff-type championship like they have in other sports in college football? Is that something you think we'll see at some point?
I don't think that we'll see it because I know the ADs are against it and the presidents are against it, but I think that's what I wished would happen. Just as a competitor, you want to play it out. And I think putting anything in somebody else's ballot box is not the right idea. But I understand why it does exist now, and there has to be some kind of a system. I don't know how it works, but I don't need to. I just need to keep playing. But I wish that there was a way, just like basketball and baseball and all of the other major sports.
So it doesn't. Obviously, you're doing the best of what you can with the system you have. But when you see other teams like last year, where Auburn and people can challenge, hey,
we were there a couple years ago ourselves.
That's right.
We were first in 2 different polls, and the computer thing got us. So.
What would have to change for it to happen? I mean, you've been around the game enough.
You play it out. You play it out. But unfortunately, even if you play it out, you're going to have to select the final 8 teams or however you want to do it, and so there's still going to be a process involved. So I'm not going to be one that's sitting here griping about it. I don't have the answer. So I just keep playing and coaching, and whenever they send us, we'll go, and hopefully it's the Rose Bowl a lot.
If we had to name your philosophy, or if you were writing a book like John Wooden did, what would you call it? Or how would you table
the best thing I can tell you is that I've found that I'm a competitor, and everything to me in my life is about competing, and I like that. I don't think it's a negative thing. I don't think that's the bad aspect as people think of being competitive. I think it's the challenge that I see that drives me to want to do things better than it's ever been done before is really what guides me, and so, I don't know what that means about books or any of that stuff. I'm a long ways from figuring that one out.
All right, well, thanks for your time. It's always great watching you and your teams play.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Pete Carroll, head coach at USC, we thank you for watching here on CMI. We'll see you next time. Take care.
Tune in next week when Chris sits down with Reggie Jackson. The outspoken slugger sounds off on the current state of baseball and reflects back on his Hall of Fame career. That's on the next episode of CMI, The Chris Myers Interview.
The southernmost tip of Africa, the last sight of land for the 7 crews before the perils of the Southern Ocean. All eyes are on the bay in the shadow of Table Mountain. Cape Town is ready to host the Boxing Day import race.
Big day.
It's time for the teams to get competitive again. With winds in excess of 20 knots expected, this high-speed charge around the bay will be spectacular. The import races are a new addition to the Volvo Ocean Race and account for over 20% of the overall points available. A win here in Cape Town will be worth 3.5 points. With ABN AMRO 1 at the top of the leaderboard by just a point from Brazil 1 and Ericsson, there could be a change in the overall race lead. Ericsson head for the start line full of hope. Winners of the Sancenzo import race ahead of leg 1, Neil McDonald's crew could be the team to beat.
On a 2 to 3 hour race, the start's always pretty darn critical. In a stronger breeze, it's not as critical as it was in that first import race. So, we'll see how the conditions turn out. But if it's windy, a good start is going to help, but it's not the end of the day.
It's important to get points on the board, because that keeps everybody at bay a little bit. But they're talking 30, 35 knots in the inshore race, and that's going to come down to a lot of boat handling and a lot of survival. Just making sure you can get these boats around with 10 guys is tricky.
These are awesome boats. It's a great venue here in Cape Town, and if we have the conditions that are forecasted, it's going to be an awesome race to watch and an awesome race to be on the race yacht and racing. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Movistar are back on the water. After withdrawing from the first leg, Bauer Becking's team have been hard at work focusing on the import race. even if conditions today are expected to be vastly different from those experienced during training.
Well, it's just like you just have to have confidence in the structure, and the structure is so much stronger than it has been before. So, and everything looks good.
To me, our testing of our keel and our structure was, I hope we tested it probably beyond what it's ever going to see. I'm confident that we've got the right package. I was before, but more so now.
It's great. Obviously enjoyed the time at home, but it's good to be back racing again, and we've all gelled back together again as though we haven't been away for 3 weeks, so that's nice. No, it's all going really well.
Okay.
Obviously depends a fair bit on the breeze. If we get some really light, unstable conditions, which is possible under Table Mountain, then it sort of throws in the risk factor. But if we get fairly steady, strong breeze like is predicted, I expect us top 3.
The crews are now circling before the start, each one trying to be in the best position when the gun goes. Paul Kayard is one of the most experienced of the skippers of this kind of racing, and he knows that today's race is vital for his team.
After suffering the breakdown on the first night of leg 1, we're pretty keen to get back into it, and the racing here, the import race in Cape Town's our first opportunity to mix it up again with the competitors, and we've been working on the boat a lot and thinking about it a lot, and so now it's time to get back out there and do what we love doing.
With a strong offshore wind blowing over 20 knots, this is how the import race works. The 7 boats follow a triangular course over approximately 3.5 hours. The first leg into the wind, followed by 2 downwind legs. With 3.5 points available to the winner, this is a perfect opportunity for crews like Movistar and Pirates of the Caribbean to get their campaign back on track. Not long to the start, and watching the race, Olympic gold medalist Shirley Robertson.
Well, we're in the last 30 seconds of the pre-start. The teams are making their very final approach to the start line. It's a blustery all day here.
Pick the bow up. Offer from the line stay. 2 lengths he's got. Offer from the line stay. Staying, 19, 18, racing here. Full throttle. 17, 16, race.
Well, Paul Kayard on board Pirates. He's tacking late at the committee boat end. He's the boat nearest us. That's a bad start by Paul. But a good start by Movistar, by ABN AMRO 1 and by Brazil 1 at the far end. Well, ING Real Estate Brunel had a terrible start, and they're going it alone out on the right-hand side. But we'll see if the flyer pays off at the top mark. Movistar crossing well in front of ABN AMRO 2. Well, the wind is increasing now. It's going to make for very exciting times on the downwind legs.
This international sporting event is brought to you by Carlsberg, probably the best beer in the world.
Brought to you by American Express.
For over 150 years, Carlsberg has given millions of people in more than 140 countries something to talk about.
Play Subway Subtext Hockey Trivia. Text in this short code for your chance at $250,000 in prizes, including a VIP trip for 2 to the MasterCard Memorial Cup. Details at hockeysubway.com. Subway, eat fresh, love hockey.
For over 75 years, we've been sacrificing Volvos in the name of safety. Today, when it comes to style and design, we sacrifice nothing. Safety is a beautiful thing, especially when it's beautiful. The 2006 Volvos.
For over 150 years, Carlsberg has given millions of people in more than 140 countries something to talk about.
Running low! Go, go! Yep. Nice. There is another one down to leeward, Moose.
Well, gusts of over 14 knots now. And Ericsson flying along in 5th place. Magnus Watson struggling on his own to pull back the empty sock that houses the spinnaker for the hoist. There's definitely no spare pair of hands on board any of these boats. With only 11 sailors, it's always going to be in struggle if something goes wrong. Paul Caird on the Pirates team going for a jibe. Oh, it looks like they're in trouble. The Pirates now completely on their side. They've broached out, the boom's dragging in the water, and the sails are pulling them over. This is going to take a while to sort out. Well, Pirates upright again, and Movistar also struggling to get round Mark II.
Million. Is it going to come back? Have we got next?
Pirates limping round Mark II. They're going to have to jibe again at this mark, and let's hope they can pull it off. Oh, Pirates have got problems again, struggling with their jibing. And it looks like the runner is caught round the boom. Well, that's a crew error for sure. Curtis Blewett there desperately trying to kick it free so they can get going again. Movistar have had a very slow downwind lag, and they're doing a very cautious drop here. They're dropping the spinnaker before they've even got the head sail up. Well, that's allowed Ericsson to get round the mark in front of them. Well, from on board Movistar, we can see Ericsson is blocking their wind. It's going to make a very difficult leg for this boat. Away from the carnage, ABN AMRO 1 extending the lead. They're storming away in this race. Movistar, she can't live there in Ericsson's bad air, so she's tacking away.
I think we can make it from here. There's no better tack, guys! Again, tacking!
Moose turning the boat to approach mark number 1 again for the second time. The crew work looks really slick, and they've proven here they're a really good team. Working together for such a long time now, they've made this look easy. Well, they made it look easy, but at the back it hasn't looked very easy at all. and a lot of the boats have been struggling from lack of practice. The Pirates only sailed one day and the last leg, as did Movistar. Their crew work's been bad, they're going to be disappointed, and they're desperately struggling in this race. It's not easy to sail these big boats with only 11 people. If you were normally short coast racing, you'd probably have nearly double. And just look at the speeds these boats are generating on the downwind legs. They've got to be doing more than 20 knots. Leaving at the back of the fleet with ING, they're tanking along here. The Pirates and Brazil 1 in the background, struggling again to get down the downwind leg. What a true challenge this second import race has turned out to be. ABN AMRO storm on in the lead. Ericsson have again got more problems. The outhole, the control that holds the sail to the end of the boom, has broken, and they're desperately trying to lash it together. Not an easy feat in 40 knots of wind. Ericsson now sailing off in the opposite direction. It's not going to be easy to fix this. The boom is thrashing around in the breeze. The bowman, Tom Braidwood, sitting up on the boom, trying to lash it together. They're desperate to finish this race. Movistar sailing past Ericsson. They're really keen to get a good result here after a disappointing first leg, where, like Pirates, they had to stop after one day's racing. The skipper, Bauer Becking, on board with 2 Olympic gold medalists, is really making a comeback here. Pirates, having fought their way back into second place, are again in trouble. Their skull and crossbone spinnaker flying like a flag. The race committee have shortened the race, and it's ABN AMRO 1 who will take line honours, and a welcome 3.5 points on the board. What a convincing victory.
Last of them, good fellas. Give it in a row.
Movistar coming up to finish second. They've got to be happy with that. What a tough race this was for them. But it's a tight battle for third and fourth, with ABN AMRO 2 and Brazil 1. But it's ABN AMRO 2 who take third place, and the youngsters will be happy with that. They sailed a smart race, a conservative race, and got a good result. They may all be under 30, but today they've shown they can give the veterans a real run for their money. Brazil 1 coming in to finish fourth, and behind them in fifth place, Kayard with Pirates. What a day of high drama, and a day of great success for ABN AMRO 1.
So, ABN AMRO 1 win the second import race to extend their overall lead. Movistar finished second, scoring 3 points to get their campaign back on track. ABN AMRO 2 finished third for 2.5 points. Then come Brazil 1, Pirates of the Caribbean in a disappointing fifth, followed by Ericsson and ING Real Estate Brunel picking up the final half point. A big win for ABN AMRO 1 in strong wind. It's a performance that bodes well for the Southern Ocean.
You are black, even a little dandruff shows.
You want an anti-dandruff shampoo that's proven effective. So now you use Selsun Blue. Doctor recommended for the relief of flakes and itch with aloe and moisturizers for healthier looking hair and scalp.
Never wear black without the blue. Selsun Blue.
We have 11 Palestinian names. Each had a hand in planning Munich. We want them dead.
Time magazine calls Munich Steven Spielberg's boldest feat yet. Spectacularly gripping. 2 thumbs way up. Munich in select theaters everywhere January 6th.
My oldest friend. My east. My west side. My private side. My heartbreak. My heartbeat. My life happens here. My card is American Express.
ABN AMRO 1's win in the Cape Town import race has given the Dutch entry a clear lead at the top of the overall standings. They've also shown that in heavier airs at least, they have an advantage over the lighter, far-built boats.
Today we did the first beat in the first triangle probably at full noise, and then we realised that we had a little buffer, and then, you know, she was very much, okay guys, let's practice our throttling it back. And, you know, at times we were quite eased up today, so hopefully I've got that in this thick head that I can do that.
It's also been a successful afternoon for the Movistar crew. They will now feel that after their failure to complete the first leg, they're back in contention.
Oh, the confidence was always there. It was the same like the first night out. We were going very nicely, and just the baby broke down. But I think like all the repairs have gone really well, and we tested the boat really good over here. And it is just that you put the hammer down again.
A bad day for Pirates of the Caribbean, though. They fell from 2nd to 5th after a series of errors.
It was a very windy day, and the boats are a handful. But, you know, basically everything should have been manageable. We had some difficulty jibing, and I think I figured out what we were doing wrong. And unfortunately, it was a little frustrating to lose those points on the last lap. We were second place at the last windward mark, and then we lost 3 boats. But in some respects, we're pretty lucky to still have the rig in the boat, because one of those broaches was we didn't have any runner on and didn't look good with the mast. We're going to have to take it out and check it.
Disappointment too for Ericsson. A broken reefing line the cause of their poor showing.
It's a little bit of a learning experience for all of us, and you know, I guess you know, we're a little disappointed that we broke down, but it was probably better that we broke here than out in the Southern Ocean. And so for sure we'll take back some lessons in sailing in this breeze and learn hopefully and keep the boat together and not have gear failures in the future.
So Mike Sanderson collects another trophy. After their first leg victory, now ABN AMRO 1 takes the second import race. They now lead by 2.5 points over Brazil 1, with ABN AMRO 2 in third place, just half a point further back. Then come Ericsson, Movistar and ING Real Estate Brunel, with Pirates of the Caribbean last. With the completion of the import race, the teams must now face up to the challenge of the second leg. For most of the crew on ABN AMRO 2, entering the Southern Ocean will be a step into the unknown. But after finishing second in the opening leg, Sebastian Joss's crew are ready for the challenge.
Obviously Seb's been there, and Scott and Hans, who've done the race before, so obviously it'll be a pretty new thing for a lot of us, and I guess there's a little bit of apprehension there for a lot of people, but I think if we're sensible and we sail the boat how we learnt in the first leg, I think we'll be okay.
They've got everything to gain and you know, not a whole lot to lose. So they're going to be tough to beat because that's the way they're sailing. Says you guys should win the Seamanship Award, so you've got to be kidding me. It's about killed us all. Good on you, boys. It's been such a huge asset for our team as well, though, with the approach that those guys have taken on, because obviously they'd like nothing more than to beat us, even when we were out there testing yesterday and when we practice racing in bits and pieces. Boat 2, this is boat 1. Let's do a racing tack and set up on going the other way over. And also from the mindset of our guys, it's important that we do everything we can to beat them to a mark, to be able to get the sails up and down as quickly as they can. So it's a great, you know, having the older guys and the young guys. The young guys do everything to beat up on the old boys, and the old boys do everything to defend their role, sort of thing. So it's really healthy in the team.
ABN AMRO 2 broke the 24-hour monohull record on the first leg before the senior boat eclipsed it. But the young crew are keen to make history once more on the charge from Cape Town to Melbourne.
I think there's a very good chance it'll get broken again. I know we're keen to try and get it back off the blackboat, so that's a little aim for us in this next leg.
To be overly brave, and this next one is quite a dangerous situation. This next leg is going to be about, you know, responsibility and doing a tidy job.
The second leg begins on the 2nd of January for the cruise 6,000 miles from Cape Town to Melbourne through some of the most hostile seas on the planet.
Southern Ocean's for only a certain few, I think.
I mean, if you don't like the Southern Ocean, you shouldn't do this race.
Make a mistake in these boats and they'll punish you.
You're too cold and scared and hungry to worry about anything except just keeping the boat from exploding.
The challenge is enormous. It is the best sailing in the world. You know, you may break a world record, and that's where you do it. Have you prepared the boat right? Have you got the right sails for it? Have you got the right crew for it? Can you handle it as a team and come out first? We certainly hope we can.
For sailing and for sailing fast, it's one of the best places you can be because the waves are quite long. The breeze is steady. It's not too much, it's not too little, but it's a perfect wind speed the whole time, so you can go very, very, very fast.
The thing for me is always the speed, just how fast the boats go and how much fun it is sailing these boats downwind and breeze.
It's fantastic sailing. I mean, there's times you're just roaring down the fronts of these waves. You're just, this is crazy. Brilliant. You hear guys whooping for joy, probably because we just survived it.
Southern Ocean has no bottom mark, so we just keep going downwind and have a great time.
Trying to get through the night playing the video game when all you can see is the red numbers and everything's black and the boat's going really, really fast. That's the tough part of the Southern Ocean. That's when the monsters are out.
Driving the Volvo 70 is very stressful, especially when it's dark. It's just very nerve-wracking. You're always on edge.
These boats are so fast that it's going to be important to when to slow down a little bit so you do make it through the night and don't have a big problem, you know? Because they'll have some spectacular crashes, I think, these boats.
It's the sort of leg that you look forward to it. When you're in the middle of it, you ask yourself why you even thought you looked forward to it. And then at the end, if everything's gone okay, you've had a great experience.
You know, you kind of see the two different persons on the Volvo boat as well. You know, you see those who just can't wait for the temperature to go up, you know, and get out of this. And then you have the other guys who just can't wait to go down there. And kind of disappointed when you're around Cape Horn because now it's over.
Why do people climb mountains? For us, it's the liquid Himalayas down there. So I can't really tell you why, but it's good. Once you've been down there, you might find out.
This international sporting event is brought to you by Carlsberg, probably the best beer in the world.
Brought to you by American Express.
For over 150 years, Carlsberg has given millions of people in more than 140 countries something to talk about.
Hands in my pocket, hands in my pocket, hands in my pockets. Hands in my pockets, hands in my pockets, hands in my pockets.
With their high-interest credit cards, banks always have their hand in your pocket. Get them out with Capital One. Great low rates, no annual fees, and rewards you can actually use.
What's in your wallet?
For over 75 years, we've been sacrificing Volvos in the name of safety. Today, when it comes to style and design, we sacrifice nothing. Safety is a beautiful thing, especially when it's beautiful. The 2006 Volvos.
Oh man, what do we ever do before racetracks?
I think we may be getting hustled.